Welcome back, Kleschka Crew. Today's video, I'm going to tell you my favorite player from every single MLB team. Now, I did this video a few years back, but the league has changed. We've seen new players come, we've seen old players leave. And before I get started, I got a deal to make with you. Kleschka Crew, I just talked to the man Austin Kleschka. I have our deal right here. Let's finalize this thing, all right? Give you one last look at it, make sure it's everything you want. Can we agree to that? All right? Austin Kleschka is very happy with that deal, as long as you agree to it. So, here's the contract. All you got to do is hit the subscribe button, and both parties will be happy. Pleasure doing business with you, and don't forget, subscribe. All right, now back to the video. Thank you for handling that short interaction with my business associate. Now, let's get started. My favorite player on every MLB team, starting with the easy one, my Angels, it's Mike Trout. I think that has been the answer. I would not be shocked if the last time I made this video, that was the answer. Mike Trout. This dude is a phenom. Mike Trout, I've been with him since he entered the league. I was 15, I grew up watching him, and he was a superhero in my eyes, an idol. So the obvious choice for me when thinking of my favorite player on the Angels, especially since Ohtani left, is Mike Trout. Next up, the Texas Rangers, and that would be Adolis Garcia. Obviously, we know he's crazy talented with the bat and the glove. I got to hold his gold glove at the Gold Gloves award ceremony late 2023. That was an awesome experience, but he's also got tons of swagger. He's got that clutch ability, and he's got good style. When I was in Texas, he was rocking some sick cleats, and I love his story, getting from Cuba over to the MLB, working, grinding every day to make it to where he is now, and he's a World Series champ. Houston Astros. Now, this was a little bit of a tough one because there are many players on this team that I dislike, but there is one guy that stands out that I do have a ton of respect for, and that is Yordan Alvarez, one of the scariest home run hitters in baseball. He is the definition of a slugger, and I love watching him hit some moonshots, man. He has proven in the playoffs. He does it all throughout the regular season. Doesn't have much of a glove, but I mean, the bat is entertaining enough for me to watch, and he's my favorite player on the Astros. Seattle Mariners, I'm going JP Crawford. I've met him multiple times now, especially at these events, Baseball Generation Showcase games. He's always there. He's always a captain, always teaching the youth and always giving back to his community. And that is aspiring. That's something I want to work towards, and he is somebody to look up to when it comes to that. Obviously, I love watching him with the glove as well. He's one of the best defensive shortstops in the game, and just knowing him and meeting him multiple times has definitely put him to the top spot for my favorite player on the Mariners. The Athletics, and I think I might get you guys with a curveball here, Esteury Ruiz. I love him because he stands out. His speed is a huge part of his game. You don't really see that with a lot of guys in the MLB these days, so with how much he uses it to impact his game and steal bases on his opponents, I have him as my favorite player on the A's. Minnesota Twins, and the player I chose is Royce Lewis. He broke out late in 2023, but I remember when he got drafted, how much he was talked about and the talent he possessed. I was always rooting for him just because I wanted to see him succeed. He was one of those top guys, and you want to see those top picks do good in baseball and take their career a long way. And Royce Lewis finally, after all these years, has gotten to a point where people are knowing his name and he's showing that talent. So he worked his way up for me as my favorite player on the Minnesota Twins. Kansas City Royals, Salvador Perez. Now, Salvador Perez is my favorite player on this team because he has something that I did not mention with Mike Trout, because there's many reasons I love Mike Trout, but this is a huge reason I love Trout and Salvador Perez. Loyalty. They have both been with their one team their whole career, and I respect that. Salvador Perez was named captain of the Royals, and that is earned. That is an honor for him, for all the things he's done for this team, and I easily have Salvador Perez as my favorite player on the Royals. Detroit Tigers, I'm going Javier Baez. I know his career has not been the same since he signed with Detroit, but you cannot forget everything he did with the Chicago Cubs and how much of a defensive wizard he is. He's proven with the glove, and I love a good comeback story, man. He wowed me enough when he was in his prime, and I'd love to see him have a rebound season. He's my favorite player on the Tigers. You ever have somebody that played on your favorite team, not even that long, but they made a big big impact, and you truly miss them till this day, that's this man for me. My favorite player on the Chicago White Sox, Martin Maldonado. He was not with the Angels very long, and he just got to the Chicago White Sox, but when he was with the Angels, he won Gold Glove at catcher, and you really got to make an impact when I love you for your defense. His bat really wasn't crazy, but his defense was off the charts. He was a great catcher for us. It was very short, but very impactful, and he's my favorite player on the White Sox. Cleveland Guardians, it'll be Jose Ramirez for me. Gotta love a good switch hitter. He's always been one of the most entertaining players in baseball as well. Can't forget about that right hook. And he's a funny guy as well. They have him mic'd up from time to time, and I love seeing those clips. It's easily Jose Ramirez for me on the Cleveland Guardians. New York Yankees, you got a lot of big names here, but the guy I'm going with just got there, and that is Anthony Volpe, and he earned this one recently for me at the Gold Glove Awards. He won it for the first time, and you could just see he was so happy to be there. You looked at him and you're like, wow, I can't believe that guy's an MLB player. The smile he had on his face, the twinkle in his eyes, bro. He was like a little kid living his dream, and that was so cool to watch. And whenever I met him, he remembered me, and he was so respectful, and he always wanted to talk and listen. So easily, Anthony Volpe is my favorite player on the Yankees. Baltimore Orioles, it's Gunnar Henderson. Similar situation. I've only met him one time, but that one time that I met him was really cool. It was at Angel Stadium, and it was on the dirt, and we got to do a FaceTime call with one of his former teammates, Connor Green. We laughed it up. He gave me a little inside joke to tell Gunnar Henderson, and it worked. So that was a really cool moment, and that's why he's earned my favorite player on the Baltimore Orioles. Tampa Bay Rays, Randy Arozarena, man. This guy is a human highlight reel when it comes to the biggest games, and that's when it's the most entertaining. WBC, playoffs. He's on the biggest stage, and he is not afraid of the brightest light, and I love that for him. I love players that can step up in those moments, and that's exactly what Randy Arozarena does. Toronto Blue Jays, it is Vladimir Guerrero Jr. for me. He's also the newest MLB The Show cover athlete. Can't wait for that game to come out. But obviously, I'm an Angels fan. I grew up watching his father, Vlad Sr., and to see his son in the league have a few years where he's out there performing to a high caliber is awesome. And I hope he comes to the Angels one day, but I wish him the best success wherever he plays. So it's Vlad Jr. for me, easily. Boston Red Sox, Rafael Devers. It's just that sweet lefty swing that I appreciate so much. I can say the same thing about Yordan Alvarez, but these guys, when they hit that baseball, it goes a long way. It is so much fun to watch. It is so entertaining. It's easily Devers for me on the Red Sox. That'll wrap up the American League, and we switch over to the National League, starting with the Atlanta Braves. And you want to talk about entertainment as a player, that is Ronald Acuna Jr., my favorite player on the Braves. We saw the season he had last year. We've seen the seasons he's had ever since he entered the league. We know he can run, he can field, he can throw, he can hit, he can do it all. And when you have that whole package, it's pretty much going to be anybody's favorite player that watches that team. So for me, Ronald Acuna Jr., layup, easy choice. New York Mets, for me, it's got to be Francisco Lindor. He is always shining with positivity. He didn't get that nickname Mr. Smile for no reason. Love the switch hitting aspect. He's always out there looking great with the glove and his glove game. Have you seen the gloves he uses? They're pretty sweet, not gonna lie. So a guy that's got style, a guy that's got talent, he's got to be my favorite player on the Mets. Philadelphia Phillies, this one hurts so much. Brandon Marsh. I miss Brandon Marsh so much. I will wish him success no matter where he goes in baseball. We traded him away from the Halos, and ever since that day, I've missed him, dude. I want him to win Gold Glove, Silver Sluggers, MVPs. He was one of those guys that was with us for such a short amount of time and made such an impact. Easily. Brandon Marsh and the Phillies for me. Miami Marlins, this is another easy choice for me. That is Jazz Chisholm. I've met him a handful of times, especially at Baseball Generations. He's another one of those guys that's always a captain, always mentoring the youngsters, and he's always cool with us. He's always joking around, he's always having fun. He's just a great guy, and he plays with a lot of swagger, and he really doesn't care what you think. If you're going to talk negative about him, he'll brush it off, and I think that's the best part, that he's himself, and he doesn't care what anybody else thinks. Jazz Chisholm, easily on the Marlins for me. Washington Nationals, a guy that I just met recently at Baseball Generations, that is CJ Abrams. Also another very cool guy. I hope to see him there for future years. But yeah, CJ Abrams. St. Louis Cardinals, I gotta go with Nolan Arenado. The intensity that he plays with and the defense that he displays. Won 10 Gold Gloves in a Rowe. He's easily been the defensive master of our generation. Slam dunk Nolan Arenado for me on the Cardinals. Milwaukee Brewers, I'm going Willy Adames. I feel like he's a very underrated player. Doesn't get talked about enough, and I noticed that game. He's a scrappy shortstop who can actually hit for some good power, and I don't want that to go unnoticed. I'm going Willy Adames. Chicago Cubs, Dansby Swanson. I'm sticking with the shortstops. He's got that show flow. He's also a great defender. He's very good with the bat. He's had those big clutch hits. He's had the big moments, and he was very cool with me when I met him at the Gold Glove Awards. I told you these moments that I've had in my life would have an impact on this list, but I think that's a huge reason for most of these guys. I mean, dude, they've treated me nicely. They've shown me respect, and obviously I show them respect for all the hard work that they do to play this game of baseball. Dansby Swanson, Chicago Cubs, lock it in. Cincinnati Reds, Elly De La Cruz. I know he burst onto the scene last year. I knew of his name when he was in the minors. I had an eye on him, but as soon as he broke into the MLB, I don't think anybody knew he would impact as big as he did, going with the cycle, the home runs, the speed. He was electric. He was insane. And I'm going to be on that Elly hype train for as long as he plays, ladies and gentlemen. I'm always going to be rooting for his success. He's one of those guys that made an immediate impact on me. I love watching him play, and that's why he's my favorite player on the Reds. Pittsburgh Pirates, how about Brian Reynolds? He's another one of those guys to me that I believe is extremely underrated. I'd love to see him on a winning franchise and see what his talents can contribute. He's a good fielder, switch hitter, can do contact, power, and I don't think he gets noticed enough, so Brian Reynolds, my favorite player on the Pirates. Arizona Diamondbacks, I'm rocking with Corbin Carroll. He's another one of those guys that burst onto the scene. He just won Rookie of the Year, and I got on that hype train immediately. He's going to be killing it in this league for many years to come. I'm rocking with Corbin Carroll easily. San Francisco Giants, check this out. Alex Cobb, another one of those guys that I feel is underrated and made a huge impact for my team when he was an Angel. He was one of those starting pitchers that we had very briefly, and he actually did not even do that bad. Obviously, the state of the Angels for many years now has been terrible, and it's been rough. But he came in and he actually pitched pretty well, in my opinion, and he made an impact enough for me to notice. So I am rooting for him wherever he goes. Alex Cobb, Giants. Colorado Rockies, I'm rocking with Charlie Blackmon. He's got that awesome beard. It adds to his personality. He's like one of those underrated funny guys that I feel like isn't trying to be funny, but in the end, he's actually a really funny dude. I was there for one of his milestones when I went to Colorado. He got his 1,000th career hit, and he's been solid. He's a faithful guy to the Rockies organization, so easy for me right there. Charlie Blackmon, Rockies. San Diego Padres, I'm going with Fernando Tatis. I know this one's going to be a 50-50 debate for all of you watching, but I've always loved the game of Fernando Tatis, and he's got that prove-it story when they moved him away from shortstop. He went out to right field, and what did he do? He won a Gold Glove. Obviously, he is great with the bat, although he's still not hit a home run anytime I've gone to see him in person. Hopefully that'll happen one day, but he was like that Elly De La Cruz, Corbin Carroll before they got in the league. He was that young, hype player, and he was fun to watch, and I have been enjoying it the whole time. So yeah, Fernando Tatis, Padres. And finally, the team I hate the most. I cannot stand them. They grind my gears. The Los Angeles Dodgers. My favorite player on the Dodgers is Shohei Ohtani. He just signed there this offseason, although it was heartbreaking to watch him go from my Halos to the Dodgers. He was an Angel for 6 years. He did his best to help our franchise. He chose our franchise when he had that choice entering the MLB, and I will still root for his personal success. I will not root for the Dodgers, but I will always root for Ohtani to succeed, and he is my favorite player on the Dodgers, no doubt. I just hate that he's a Dodger. Those are my favorite players from every single MLB team, and if you made it to the end of this video, I want you to leave a comment down below telling me your 3 favorite players. All I gotta do is name 3 that don't play for your favorite team. Leave those comments. Come on, like the video, subscribe, tell your mom, dad, grandma, pets, friends, brothers, sister, aunt, uncle, everybody you know to subscribe, and don't forget about our deal from the beginning of the video. I'm not gonna forget. You better not forget. I got this, you got this, we all got this, and I'll see you next time.